My name is Shada Berkey,
And my name is Robert Toth.
and this is our 3M report. We're in the Tuesday-Thursday class at 12:30 with Dr. Shiroki. So which year had more or less cash? On December 31st, 2020, 3M held $4,534 million in cash and cash equivalents compared to the $2,353 million in cash it held in 2019. This means that from 2019 to 2020, 3M gained $2,181 million in cash. Basically, that means that in 2020, it was more liquid than in 2019.
3M currently uses the Net Realizable Value System, or NRV, to evaluate its inventory. This essentially means that it uses the fair selling price of units in inventory less the predicted cost of completion, disposal, and transportation. Of further note is that 3M uses the first in, first out basis for its inventory accounting.
So looking at common equity in 2020, it was 12,931 million. And this compares to 2019, which was 10,126 million. And that's an increase of about 2,805 million in 2020. So a pretty big jump.
Now, for operating income, in 2019, 3M had a total of $6,174 million in operating income. It increased this going into 2020 to $7,161 million.
So if we take a look at the slide, in 2019, we see that the net income for 3M was 4,750 million, and then there was an increase in 2020 to 5,388 million. So that's a difference of around 814 million. So we're taking a look at the basic EPS and diluted EPS. So here's a little graph to show the significant or small but difference in the basic and diluted. So 3M's reported basic earnings per share in 2019 were 7.92 million, and their diluted earnings per share were 7.81. In 2020, 3M reported basic earnings per share were 9.32 million, and their diluted earnings per share were 9.25 million. So basic EPS lets the investor know how much of the firm's net income was allocated to each share of common stock. And diluted EPS is for more complex capital structures and calculates its EPS if all convertible securities were to be converted. And as we can see on the graph, and basically a rule of thumb is diluted EPS is typically lower than basic EPS, almost always. And then we're taking a look at Yahoo Finance financial reports, or this isn't actually on the slide, but we just noticed that there was the same numbers for net income available to stockholders of 5.384 million in 2020 and 4.570 million in 2019. And so we took a look at those numbers on the annual report for the 3M and for Yahoo Finance's numbers, and they were the same, and we didn't see any discrepancies between those two websites.
Now, according to MSN, institutional investors have been overweighting 3M compared to what they have in the past. Now, only very slightly, an increase of 0.53% in quarter 4 of 2021 compared to quarter 3 of 2021. Now, here we see the net cash from operating, investing, and financing activities. We can see a gradual increase in cash flow from operating activities, which is good, especially going into 2020. That, of course, has to do a lot with the heady recovery after the dip in the beginning of 2020. Slight decrease going into 2021, but only a very marginal decline. Now, as for investing in financing activities, we've seen a lot of oscillation regarding those numbers. Uh, Generally speaking, they've remained negative. So it does appear that 3M's leadership concerns itself a lot more with its cash flow from operating activities, and that's how it finances its business model.
And that is our report. Thank you for listening.